Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon. Minus Azem featuring Jade, Gwen Johnson. And it is time to jump into Eat Local with Dr. Dasima Martin. Welcome and good morning.
Oh wait, Dasima,
Morning.
oh
Thanks
yes,
for
there we
having
go.
me.
Good
No
morning.
problem.
You look so pretty. Oh my gosh, how are you?
Right?
You
How,
making me
As
blush.
always.
right? How are you able to do all of this? Like, as a doctor, I mean, not saying that doctors won't have days where they look like this, but like during a pandemic, you don't look stressed and nothing.
I guess the stress doesn't show, and that's a good thing.
Definitely is. Definitely is. But how are you?
I'm good, actually. How are you guys?
Meh. Kevon, how are you?
Nah.
we are managing. We are managing.
Good to hear.
Yes. But, I mean, we introduced you as Dr. Dasima Martin. Can you tell the people a bit about yourself? I'm pretty sure they're interested to know who is this new doctor that we're introducing.
All right, no problem. So, good morning, everyone out there listening. I'm Dr. Dasima Martin. I'm a general practitioner based in Jamaica. I'm Kititian, but I've been working in Jamaica ever since completing med school in 2017. I'm also a certified health and nutrition life coach, and that sums it up.
Oh, wow. Short and sweet,
Modestly.
but full of things. Right? So, how, like, you said you're Kititian, which you are. I mean, because we did go to high school around the same times and all of these things. But, like,
Yes.
when did you realize, like, okay, after completing school, I think I want to be a doctor and help people? When did you realize that?
I think it was probably after completing my first year of CFBC in 2010. I was weighing the options. I was like, I've always had a thing for the sciences. And when you look around, things that would enable you to be self-sufficient and still, do things that you love. I was like medicine, or I wanted to be a lab tech. And I weighed it out and I said, medicine might be the better option for me, because in the end, my goal is to, have my own practice, work for myself. And it just meshed with my values.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So you said you figured that out around for your first year of CFPC. Where were you before that? What career goal did you have in mind?
So at first I thought I wanted to be a lab tech. And I did a summer volunteering at the lab at JNF. But part of that experience involved me being a phlebotomist. So I had to spend a lot of time on the ward, like going to take blood from the patients, and just being exposed to that environment, the thought process just started shifting. Like, I think I can get used to this. This sounds like something that would suit me more than just being a lab tech. And then that's when everything changed. Even the actual degree that I decided to do at CFBC, because you had a choice if you wanted to do general studies, environmental studies. So in my first year, I didn't do the pure and applied maths that you need to get the natural science degree in order to apply to med school. And then for my second year, I decided to take that course in order to get that degree that would make it easier for me to apply to UE for med school.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then you got to UE to do med school and everything. And what was that process like? Because I know people, when you say med school, that is exactly what you get. So tell us what that process is, because I know a lot of people listening and probably saying, yeah, I want to go to med school. Give them a realistic walkthrough of what that is like.
Realistic walkthrough? Challenging. It is very challenging, especially if you're coming from working for a year, so you took that time off and you weren't really studying on, regularly, coming fresh out of CFBC. So it took, some time to get back into the study group and then study groove, and then the workload, like, oh my gosh, the classes all day, and then you still would have to go home and catch up on the stuff that, flew over your head while you were in class, because it was just classes back to back to back. The sleep pattern was just completely thrown off. Eating pattern was thrown off. I feel like the first semester, I felt like I was just thrown out into the ocean. I was told, you need to learn to swim now. But eventually with practice, once you get more organized, it is manageable, but it definitely is a struggle. So if you're not 100% sure that this is what you want to do, you have to decide that before you go into med school, because it takes time. It takes time. It takes sacrifice. It was a challenging 5 years.
5 years. Wow, I forgot that it's a longer period than most things. And I mean, it should be, because people have their lives in your hands now, and as a doctor, you have to make the best medical decision for your different patients, and no patient is the same. So I just can't even imagine, because first of all, I'm terribly squeamish, like blood and surgery and all of that. Hard pass. Hard pass. So I am sure that it takes a very strong-minded person to know that this is the job, this is the career that they're going to, and this is what comes with it.
It definitely does.
Oh boy. Ooh. But yes, no. So now you're a general practitioner, and you said you are really into health and nutrition. I actually saw that recently. You posted a challenge. It's a green challenge. I've actually been participating, but I just haven't gotten the time. Or I keep forgetting to tag you. Yeah, because like I saw it, and it was around the time that I was about to get back into my health, because I want to look like Kevon. And
no, I've been participating too in my head.
And so yeah, I've been trying the green smoothie, and with that though, like I'm doing it because one, I'm sure that there are a lot of health benefits, some of them that I read up on already and all of that, and then I saw you post it, and I'm like, I don't think a doctor would lead me wrong here. So what are some of the health benefits with this one?
Okay, so for the green smoothie, I just thought, well, starting the challenge in general, I just found it was a good way to get people to, interact and probably just enjoy themselves while, taking part or starting a new health journey, instead of feeling like it's an obligation or a chore or something that they're really, just forcing themselves to do. So like the challenge was a good way to get people involved. And yes, there are some benefits, plenty benefits. So one of the major benefits that I know most persons like with the green smoothies, that it promotes weight loss. Another one is that it boosts your immune system, because the greens, it's packed with antioxidants, vitamin C, your major your other major vitamins. It's packed with iron as well, so that's one benefit. It's also anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant as well. And the thing about the green smoothie is that you can play around with the ingredients. So some persons, when they hear about a green smoothie, they think it's just spinach and celery and cucumber, and it's tasteless, and I have to force myself to drink all of this. But really, with the green smoothie, you can incorporate some of your favorite fruits that can add flavor and make it enjoyable for you. So that was the aim of the green smoothie challenge.
And so Kevon, you had a question?
Yeah, but it's a bit of a topic shift.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me ask mine first then. So
yeah,
when did you realize that you needed to put some more emphasis on health and nutrition? Because I feel like, speaking for St. Kitts, since I live here, I feel like you often see people who don't take care of themselves. Their health is not their first priority. And now we have a whole pandemic to deal with, and the actual disease, once you are not your best self, it worsens. So like, when did you realize that this was something that you needed to tackle? I mean, a doctor should always have this at the forefront, but to put emphasis on this, when did you realize that this was, it's time?
Okay. So it actually started with me first, and it was coming on to my last year in med school, down to the wire. I was eating very unhealthy. I had a horrible sleep pattern. Like, everything about my lifestyle then was very unhealthy. I would eat anything at any time. Being up at 4 a.m., there would be donuts next to me, sodas, just anything, because at that time you didn't really have all the time in the world to prepare healthy meals. And even if you tried to order, there weren't many like healthy options around. So it was always fast food, some Chinese, some KFC. And then coming on to the end of that, when I saw how much weight I gained and how unhealthy and unfit I felt. I just felt, just feel disgusting, like bloated, the clothes not fitting right. Is like, okay, you have to make a change. And then when I thought about it, I was like, I'm not the only person that probably struggling with this, because I know the excuse most of the time is that, oh, I don't have time to cook something healthy. I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to go to the gym. So that was when I first realized that, we need to place more emphasis on, health, taking care of ourselves. And then going through internship, I saw it a lot too, because, you would take through various subspecialties, especially on medicine, like obesity was a major issue. Then I went on to primary care, where you saw more of these cases, your hypertension, your diabetes, and one of the risk factors was always some sedentary lifestyle, not exercising, not eating properly. And then when I decided to stay in primary care, and I joined the NCD program, so it's like a program that tries to manage non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension, I saw that there really was a need for that. And then last year during the pandemic, I said, people always come to me and ask me for advice related to health and fitness. Why not get certified in this field? And that's what I decided to do. And from since then, I created the Instagram page that's really geared towards providing tips, motivation, and little things like that to help people start a fitness journey. That's where it started.
So I think this Instagram is a great idea, because I know people have a lot of basic questions that they want to ask healthcare providers, and they don't really want to go take the visit. So I think, your page, which I always find myself on, just reading the tips and watching the videos that you post, I think they always have some great information, because, as simple as it is, it's something I could try to integrate into my day and integrate into my routine, because it's easy stuff. So kudos to you for doing that, and I really like that you have it going on, and that is active. Because some people, including myself, we like to start things and don't continue. But the question I wanted to ask is, you're practicing in Jamaica right now, and you did all of your education in St. Kitts and moved on to do school in Jamaica and then stayed in Jamaica. What influenced that decision?
I think at the time it was for the work experience, because it's a larger population and you get to see all of the weird and wonderful cases. So I just really wanted to get that experience before I thought about moving back. And so far that has been happening. The population here is 3 million. So, you see almost every single thing that you can think about. And I think that is key in order to be a good physician. You need to be able to manage most of the cases properly. And I feel like that comes with exposure and, managing those cases for yourself, not just reading about it, because everything isn't just textbook. Right? You have those ones that are atypical cases, so we actually get to see that. So I feel like the hands-on approach and staying here to get a little more experience really works out to be, a very good decision for me.
Well, you mentioned how much of a population Jamaica has. It's quite large. We all are currently dealing with a pandemic. How is that? How has that been? What has been your experience through this whole pandemic and dealing with corona and people and, trying to keep people healthy? How has that been? Yikes.
It has been an experience. I mean, things are slowing down a bit now, but this time last year, I just felt like they threw my entire world upside down. Wow. My life wasn't mine anymore. Everything was COVID, all of these emergency meetings. And let's not talk about the fact that we were under quarantine and curfew. And, as a medical doctor, you have to work long hours. And sometimes you just want to get something to eat before you get home and there's no place open. So it just, it was a struggle, but eventually, it just became the norm. So, for example, where I work, we have we are a testing site. So we test clients for COVID-19 every day. At first, it was like nerve-wracking. Like I would always be nervous, like did I put on my protective gear properly? I don't want to put myself at risk. I really just want to get through this. And then now it's just second nature. You go in the room, you set up, you do your swabs, and it's like basically like putting in an IV access now. So I guess with time it just became the norm for us out here. I mean, it's still a burden, it's still mentally taxing, but we just found ways to cope with it.
Wow. And you could tell us what are some of the ways that you've found that work when it comes to coping with COVID?
For me, I feel like, okay, so last year, for example, when everywhere was closed, including the gyms, still being physically active was one of the major ways that I was able to cope with the stress. So I even went out and I bought at-home gym equipment, the barbells, the weights, everything, the kettlebell swings, everything, just so that I can stay active, because it was a way for me to, relieve the stress. And I feel like when I do like early morning workouts, like it set the pace for the day, and like I just get an energy boost. So that was something that I couldn't eliminate. At that time too, especially like how most places weren't open, like just doing meal preps and cooking regularly was a way for me to deal with my stress. I know it sounds weird, but at that time, it was just a coping mechanism for me. Like I had menus prepared almost every week. This is what I'm going to cook. I look forward to going to the grocery, getting the meals, getting the ingredients to make the meals. Another thing too was staying connected with friends and family, because during the pandemic, more persons, I mean, it's good to give advice and, like when they ask you the medical questions, you answer, but it was nice to have like a group of friends and like family members that would just talk to you about everything non-medical. So they made you feel like human in the midst of all of that. It wasn't always about COVID-19. There were certain persons that I could just, FaceTime and we'll just chat and laugh and just make me forget about everything that was going on in the world. So still having that type of relationship, friendship, those connections during that time was vital for me to keep my mental health in check. So those were the three main things.
What is it like though? I know a lot of healthcare professionals have been feeling like the burnout from COVID, because it's just going, no breaks. And even down to you mentioning that conversations were just no longer conversations. It was some, kind of people always seeking medical advice. What does that feel like? Because I think people at some point forget that you guys are human and not just doctors 24/7.
Very true.
Ready to give medical advice. What is that like? What does that feel like?
Sometimes I just try to block it out. I try to sometimes it is stressful, or it does seem a bit like burdensome, but because like they're not doing it on purpose and they're genuinely asking questions because they don't know, I'm always willing to answer at the end of it all. But I just try to, not make it a habit. Like, for example, you can message me certain hours of the day and I would always respond, especially if it's something medical. But later in the evenings, if it's something that isn't urgent and I might see something about COVID-19 popping up in my phone, I would just try to, put the phone away and gather myself, and then maybe the next day I would respond to like while I'm getting ready for work or something like that. So me managing my time and knowing when to respond to certain messages, when to answer certain phone calls, especially when you knew exactly what to expect, was a way for me to cope with that. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
for sure.
And even with that, like, how do you even manage the misinformation, especially because imagine going to school for all these years and putting in the work, and day in and day out you're up, you're studying, and you get your degree and a whole medical doctor, and people just out here discrediting the information that you give them. People who have no idea what they're talking about.
I just try not to take it personal. I try not to take it personal, especially if it's like close friends and, family members. Talk to them, not in a condescending way, but say, I get that you want to send out the information, but before you send these broadcasts about COVID-19, you need to fact check, You can't just send anything out. So when we were in the heat of it and all those broadcasts were being sent out, that was one of my major issues. Like, stop sending broadcasts that you couldn't back up the facts for. Do the research. In cases like that, I would actually say, please come and ask me first if this is correct. And you said, because if I got it, I'm pretty sure you sent this to everybody on your contact list. So that was the hardest things. But after a while, I just had to turn a blind eye for my own sanity. If you came to me directly or if you sent me that message, I would try to, address it in the moment. But otherwise than that, I just turn a blind eye, because if you had to take on everyone or every single message that was sent out that was misleading, you'll probably lose your mind. So you just have to block out certain things.
Yeah, because even up to today, a year and a half later, we're still having people send out misinformation and post whatever comes to their mind, whatever conspiracy video they see. They just, oh, this is true, let me post it for other people to see it. It is such...
And how do you, as a doctor, how do you handle that when people come to you with misinformation? Like, I know the latest thing, I don't know if you've had experienced it as yet, is the whole, now my arm is a magnet thing. How do you manage those things? Like, people coming into your workspace and telling you, I am now a magnet, and there's my arm is now a magnet. Fix me. Like, how do you handle those things?
Luckily, I haven't had anyone come to me with that, but I've had persons come to me asking about, the reasoning behind the vaccines, like, what is the goal, There's so many conspiracy theories. I let them, talk, I listen to them, and at the end, I just give them my point of view from a scientific standpoint, not anything biblical, religious, anything to do with politics. I'm like, this is what I know. This is COVID-19. These vaccines were created to help combat COVID-19. I mean, I know your concern is that they were created in a, rushed manner, because most times with vaccines, they go through years of trials, testings, find out what are the short-term effects, the long-term side effects, but based on the situation at hand, we didn't have time to do that. So I understand where you might be a bit hesitant, but my thing is always facts, right? I would even pull up articles. One patient didn't believe that this was the only thing in the AstraZeneca vaccine. And I said, here, I have the article right here. I could list out all the ingredients to you. This is all that is in it, right? Based on the papers published. I can only show you what is published by the manufacturers. If after I talk to you here, you're still convinced that, we shouldn't take the vaccine for whatever reason, I really cannot force you. But what I try to do is give them scientific facts, right? And let them know what are the benefits, what are the pros, what are the cons of not taking it. At the end of the day, your decision is yours, but I really pray and hope that after I have the discussion with them, they're more motivated and they feel a little more comfortable and relaxed to take the vaccine. That's the main aim.
Well, besides even the vaccine, what, from a health and nutrition standpoint, what do you try to get people to do? Like, what advice do you give them? What do you tell them they should consume? How do you tell them how to improve their life? Because there's people who just are not going to take any kind of vaccine, so they have to do something else. So what do you tell them as an alternative, health-wise?
Okay. Well, it's always individualized to the person, but in terms where you said for the vaccine, so in terms of those persons who are unwilling to take the vaccine, always encourage them to do things that would boost the immune system. Like, you have to eat healthy, you have to work out. If you have underlying chronic illnesses that put you at a high risk, for example, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, right? Any cancers, you have to make sure that those things are under control, because being uncontrolled, you're more susceptible to severe symptoms and, God forbid, death. So that's how I would talk to them, especially the persons with underlying medical illnesses. And the funny thing is, those are the persons that I found are more hesitant to taking the vaccine.
Definitely.
Whereas the younger folks now, they want the vaccine. I need to get vaccinated. I need life to go back to some sort of normalcy. So that's my approach for them.
And what are some things that you think that they should be eating? If there are any things, I mean, health and nutrition is a wide spectrum, but what are some key things that you think people should be adding to their diet if they haven't already started?
In terms of the vaccine, I mean, it's really hard to say that there's anything specific you can add as an alternative
Well,
to not
COVID
the
and
vaccine.
COVID and yeah.
For COVID, so things that are proven to boost the immune system. So your vitamin C, other fruits and vegetables, other foods that are rich in antioxidants. For example, like with the green smoothies, you get your antioxidants from the kale, the spinach. Drink plenty of water. You need to get adequate sleep because persons forget that when you're sleep deprived, your immune system is also compromised. Staying physically fit, working out at least 3 times a week. And when I say workout, not just walking on the side of the road and talking, like you actually have to do something brisk and increase the heart rate and actually start to sweat for it to be considered a true workout. You have to give your heart some stress in order for it to be considered a workout. So things like that I would encourage them to do, and still, tell them to consider the vaccine.
Yeah, I know you're probably tired of telling people and explaining to people why. Yeah, I would not trade what I do for being a doctor, especially right now, because the stress levels, especially, I don't know how y'all deal with it. I have to tip my hat to y'all.
Outside of everything, I still love what I do, but just like with everything, there's, the ups and downs, but I love what I do. So I guess that's why, like you said, Jade, earlier, I look stress-free because I actually love what I do. So,
and you have to, especially in fields like yours, because it's not like, what, I'm fed up with this, let me go do something else. Like, you put in work and you put in time and and money, and
not after all those years and all that money spent on tuition. That's why you have to know that this is what you want to do, because it's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard the same sentiment expressed by different doctors and people in the medical field. So trust me, I know that is something that you have to sit down and put your mind to, and you have to go for it. It's not no halfway. It's not no, midway through, forget it, I'm going to do something else. You have to commit. And we are thankful for all of the doctors that decided to commit. and see this through, because without you guys, I don't know where we would be. But Dasima, sadly, time has run down on us. Is there any last words that you would like to leave our listeners and viewers with?
To stay safe. Please stay safe, guys. I know that we're thinking, okay, everything is 100% because we've gotten the vaccine. I mean, the vaccine is the step forward, but please, guys, continue to adhere to your COVID-19 protocols. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, and proper hand hygiene. And thanks again for having me, guys.
Anytime. It was such fun. Anytime. But yes, guys, that is it for us today. Another episode of Island Tea has came and went so quickly. I didn't even see the time running down like that. But
it's 30 minutes already. Wow.
Right? But it is hump day. We've made it to halfway. Halfway. We're almost there, guys.
Already.
Us, at least, because I know you, Dr. Dasima, you have to work throughout.
Yes, I have a full day ahead.
Yeah. But we don't. So we'll pray for you, and we'll make sure we drink our green smoothies.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, we will drink a green smoothie today in honor of your hard work and excellence.
I appreciate it.
Right, Kevon?
Of course.
But yes, guys,
it's easy.
It is. I really enjoy mine. The ingredients, I mix them up daily, but the base is some greens. I actually almost took celery in mine yesterday, but I don't know if I like the taste of celery, so I'll
Which one, the celery?
Sorry? Yes, celery. I don't know.
I prefer mine with spinach and kale. And banana or pineapples at the base for, a little flavor.
Yeah, but bananas are essential because they overpower everything.
Yes.
But yes, guys, drink a green smoothie today. Celebrate your health. Make sure you follow the protocols as the good doctor said. Make sure you stay healthy. We're not at the end of this pandemic, even though it feels like, things are changing and getting a little better. We are definitely not at the end of this. But before we go, as usual, we have to hear from our doctor. You need to hear this saying from Kevon. You might be able to implement it into your daily routine. So before we go, we have to hear from the man with many names that I will not call out because I am not Azem. Mr. Okay, I'll call you the Slim God and Chopstick Puppy today. Fine? Deal?
Okay, I'll accept.
Thanks. But yes, Mr. Kevon Hanley, take us out.
Because remember that you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.